Here's something I'm going to do today. I'm going to take a moment to quietly remind myself of my boundaries that I've set in place to respect who I truly am. A quiet inner knowing that will help me to steer the course of my life in the right direction and to keep things on track. And of course, I invite you to come with me over the course of the next few moments and let's explore this topic of boundaries together. I truly invite those that have been known to want to please others and even to put others first before yourself. This one is especially for you. And of course, a gentle reminder for myself. Now, I'm sure you already know the story of what happens when we forget to draw the line in the sand. Our boundaries are crossed, we can be walked over, hurt, misled, to the point where it can even begin to feel like you are being crushed. And even worse, you lose yourself and have no idea of the person you are. Now, the beauty is it's never too late to draw that line in the sand. And when we do, oh boy, what relief it is. And possibly you wish you'd done it even sooner. Maybe you could reflect back and see that it was more about how you see yourself rather than wanting to cause conflict with the other person. Rather than keeping the other person out, it's more about letting yourself in, back in towards who you truly are. And with that comes such a deep peace, strength, and steadiness that you might not have experienced possibly for years on end. I have a friend that I've known for the past 12 years, and he's very confident, intelligent, very structured, analytical in his approach, and someone I've always admired for his skills and approach to life. And he slowly began to help me with the film project that I was working on. Because he was so skilled, I decided to give him more freedom to do as he pleased with the project, absolutely trusting and knowing that he was doing a fantastic job. It was going to turn out wonderful. I had nothing to worry about. I was in good hands until I wasn't. I set no boundaries, or at least the boundaries that I set were in his favor. And slowly but surely, my project began to be his project. I still thought at the time that he knows best, as he's got all the skills in this area of crafting these wonderful film projects. So I continued on ignoring this niggling feeling inside, just thinking that, okay, if I just push it aside, maybe it'll go away. Soon, the project became totally his project, not mine at all. I was a secondary player in this film that was no longer mine, to the point that he actually started to tell me what is going to happen, how it's going to be edited, how this would work out, and even correcting my mistakes, and I'll put that in inverted commas. Soon, before I knew it, I was overrun and I was in too deep, and I surrendered it all to him. I still kept telling myself that he does know best, but by this time, it was more of a cop-out on my behalf than anything else, and not willing to face up to the truth. Oh, I got the warning signs, red flags again and again and again, and yet eventually I would pull him up. I would remind him that it was my project. And of course, then he would back off and he would agree and let it go and apologize, and things would be good for a little while. And then the same pattern began. Finally, the film was finished, completed. His film. I'd ignored all the red flags. I'd let him go until I had no idea of who I was anymore, what I wanted. Was I right, wrong, indifferent? It was actually really, really an awful place to be in. Until I finally spoke up 2 years later, after much damage was done. The film was made, it was out there, the project was an absolute flop. Who could I blame? Really, it was only me. But it really hit me like a brick wall. And I had to move from a place of I have no idea to who I am to a place where I could start again. And this is what I did under my terms. The outcome, we worked on a few more films together. However, the line in the sand was drawn. Anytime I ever got that slight niggling feeling that something was wrong, I would speak up, always. This invisible line I had drawn and etched into my soul, not he nor anyone else was going to cross that line ever again. Now, we're friends to this day, but of course the dynamics have changed, and that history will never be repeated. This has helped me in all of my relationships, both personal and my professional life, that I will respect myself and I will never allow it to happen again. So I question myself, why did I do this in the first place? Lack of self-worth, number one. Thinking that others were better than me, that they know best. But then, thank goodness, the hero came along and reminded me that I am worthy, I am enough, I am valuable. Everything that I teach now, actually, that I record in my meditations. Maybe you relate. Is there a part of you that is carrying some of this today? Even a little bit? Maybe you've been or are still in a similar relationship. So let me leave you with today's Tiny Daily Kick. What is one small boundary you could honor today that would bring you a sense of relief by tonight? No matter how small. Just take a few breaths with me. And release. Another breath. And release. Allow this to settle. What is one small boundary you could honor today that would bring you a sense of relief by tonight? Until next time, I'm Jason Stephenson. Imagine boldly, then go out and live it.